If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was. If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world, cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was
right now? Shalom, shalom, Israel. Tonight is another Bible Basics class. I'm your teacher this evening. My name is Shahad Amath, and my reader this evening is Yashan, the good brother Yashan. And the title of the class this evening is The Sin of Slothfulness, right? The sin of slothfulness. So we're going to talk about slothfulness. We're going to see what the Bible has to say about being slothful, to how to avoid it, right? What it looks like, how to avoid it, right? So let's jump right into it. Let's go to Sirach 22 from the top. Go ahead and read that when you got it.
The book of Sirach, chapter 22 and verse 1. A slothful man is compared to a filthy stone, and everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace.
It says a slothful man is compared to a filthy stone. That means that there's some judgment being had there, right? That means that people are looking at an individual and they're judging that individual by their works or their actions, right? What they're doing, what they're not doing, right? And it's people will naturally have conversations about that, right? We're supposed to be building together. We're supposed to be able to trust and rely on one another, and it's important that we understand each other, well enough to know what our limitations are, right? And so conversations must be had, right? And it's not on some gossip stuff. This is the Most High's business, and so we are supposed to be judging matters accordingly in righteousness, right? And it says, and everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace, right? That's the result of that. That's one of the results of that judgment, right? That conversation, right? And that word hiss is H8319 in the Strong's, and it's a primitive root, properly to be shrill. That is to whistle or hiss as a call or in scorn, right? And so basically it's to scorn or to call or to label someone, right? To make it known what this person is. And just like the scripture says, right? You're going to be judged by your actions, and it's going to be known to the people, right? Go ahead and verse 2.
A slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that takes it up will shake his hand.
Filth of a dunghill, right? That means you're being compared to waste, right? That means you are a waste of a man, a waste of a human, because you're slothful, right? Because you're lazy, because you don't want to do any work, right? That's how the Bible feels about laziness, about slothfulness, right? Go to chapter 33 and verse 27. Compared to the filth of a dunghill, right? Of a pile of waste, of feces, right? That's what a slothful man is compared to. That's what a slothful man is. You're a pile of waste, of garbage, right? Useless. Don't be useless, right? Read.
Sirach 33 and 27. Send him to labor, that he be not idle, for idleness teacheth much evil.
Idleness teaches much evil, right? So if you gotta work, right? Because when you're not working, you are much more likely to veer off into some evilness or some wickedness. You know that. When you're idle, when you don't have anything to do, right? When you're left to your own devices, when you're left to your own imagination, when you're left to your own will, to your own desires, right? Often they go the opposite of where they should be going. You know this, right? And so one of the ways that you can kind of limit that happening is have a goal, have a destination, have a mission, right? And by having those things, right? In order to get to those things, you have to work, right? You have to keep yourself busy with trying to attain your goal. So that's what you should be doing, right? Read.
Set him to work as it is fit for him. If he be not obedient, put on more heavy fetters.
So it doesn't say, if he be not obedient, turn him loose and let him go do whatever he wants to do. No, it says double down and put more pressure on him, put more weight on him, right? Because it is imperative that we each hold our own weight. It's imperative that each of us put in our own work not according to our share, but according to our ability, right? And we all have different abilities, which means that we're all going to play different roles. It's not a situation where we all play an equal role, right? Because one person's effort might be more than another person's effort, right? And it might be situational or circumstantial based on what's going on at the time, right? But what every individual should be focused on and concerned with is that they are putting in the maximum amount of work that they can to work off their burdens, right? To work off their sins, right? To give ourselves the best opportunity to get to the kingdom, right? And so it shouldn't be about, what it's someone else is doing or comparing yourself to others, right? In that sense, but it should be about, putting in as much work as you can, right? Read.
A man of understanding trusteth in the Salakia.
Read 28 again.
Verse 28. Set him to work as it is fit for him. If he be not obedient, put on more heavy fetters. But be not excessive toward any, and without discretion do nothing.
And so, this isn't chattel slavery, right? So you give each man work according to their ability, right? You don't at the end of the day, we're working for one another, right? So it shouldn't be a situation where you're overburdening someone, right? Go to Proverbs chapter 6. And we're going to start at verse 6.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 6 and verse 6. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Consider her ways and be wise.
Go to the ant, thou sluggard. If you need an example of how to be a good worker, right? How not to be a slugger, how not to be slothful, look at the ant, right? And watch what the ant does, right? Read.
Which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer.
So the ants, right? They don't have anyone who's constantly overseeing them and telling them what to do, right? If you've ever watch ants and how they work, each ant is scurrying about doing whatever task that it is that they have to do, right? And that's all they're doing, right? And all of their efforts combined are how they are able to survive, how they're able to thrive, right? Because they're all working together as one colony, right? Or as one unit. Everyone is putting in the effort that they need to put in. Everyone is putting in according to their role, according to their ability. There's no questions, right? There's no slacking off. There's no deviating from the path, right? It's everyone working together, every ant working together in unison, right? In harmony to fulfill one goal. And they do this with no one, no overseers, right? They do it without any instruction, right? This is what they do, right? And so if you need an example of how not to be slothful, right? If you need an example of what we should look like, look at the ant, right? Read.
Which provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest. How long wilt thou sleep, O sluggard? When wilt thou arise out of thy sleep?
How much rest do you actually need, right? Are you working hard enough to deserve the rest that you're taking, right? Be honest with yourself. You know, I've often taken advantage of opportunities where I get to sleep in, right? But then the other side of that is when I sleep the day away after 7, 8, even 9 o'clock. If I wake up any time after that, I feel like the day is pretty much a waste now because I don't have the time that I need to get done the things that I desire to do. You're already starting at a deficit, right? And that's not encouraging. It's deflating. It's discouraging, right? And so while it's important, I'm a big advocate for getting good quality sleep. Um, with good measure, right? Because you've got work to do, right? And getting sleep shouldn't be getting in the way of you getting the work done. Just like uh, work shouldn't necessarily be getting in the way of your quality sleep, right? If you work, if you're diligent about your work, then it should be manageable in a way where you have time to sleep, where you have time to rest, right? So it goes hand in hand, right? Keep reading.
A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep.
So it's a little sleep here, a little sleep there, right? And it all seems pretty harmless, right? But it adds up, right? And it what it'll do, right? Sleep is just an example of the characteristics that one does, the patterns that one puts out there, right? And those little things which seem nonchalant, right? Those little things which might not even register, right? After a while, they start to add up, right? It's like putting a marble into a jar, right? The jar is empty, right? You put one marble in there, it's still empty basically, right? But as you continue to put marbles in there, right? Whether they're good works or they're bad works, right? The jar is going to fill up accordingly, right? And so we want to make sure that we're filling up that jar with those good marbles, those good works, right? Read.
So shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man.
So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want uh, as an armored man, right? It's going to be like getting robbed, right? It slows up suddenly, right? You don't usually get a warning that you're going to get robbed. Now you're being robbed, right? And if you don't have the ability to defend yourself, if you haven't practiced or rehearsed what to do, or even thought about what you're gonna do in a situation where you're being robbed, right? Then you're defenseless, you're helpless, you're hapless, right? And that's the same way that your life goes when needs suddenly pop into your life, right? Where you suddenly you have a repair on this car that you weren't planning on, or you have to call for service on one of your appliances in the house, right? Or you have a medical emergency. These are all things that while you can't necessarily plan for them, right? You can certainly plan for the eventuality that something will pop up suddenly, and have a nest egg for that, right? Have a savings for that. Have money that you're putting aside for those things that are unknown, right? Those surprising things, and not just money, right? But favor as well, right? Do favor, do things for other people, so that in your time of need, people are going to be jumping at the opportunity to do for you just like you've always done for them and others, right? It says, right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We were just in Proverbs 6, right? Go to, hold that Ecclesiastes and go to Proverbs 24 and start at verse 30. Yep, 24 and 30.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 24 and verse 30. I went by the field of the slothful and by the vineyard of a man void of understanding.
So, slothful looks like a lack of wisdom, right? Or a void of understanding, right? These things are inseparable from slothfulness. It looks like a field that's overrun with weeds that hasn't been tended to. That's not wise. It's not wise to neglect the land, right? Read.
And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and needles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down.
And this is now a situation where you don't have the ability to grow your vegetations, right? Because you've let it become overgrown with weeds, which is not wise, right? You haven't been diligent in keeping up the land, right? And neither have you with your defense, your line of defense, your wall of defense, right? That has been broken down. And now that's not serving the purpose that it's supposed to be doing, right? So now you don't have the ability to nurse yourself, and you don't have the ability to defend yourself, right? And these are two basic human needs that all humans need, right? And you've squandered that, right? Because of slothfulness, because of laziness, right? Read.
Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall thy poverty come as one that travaileth, and thy want as an armed man.
It says, yet a little sleep, right? Yet a little slumber, yet a little folding of the hands to sleep, right? It's when you're settling into idleness, right? When you're settling into not doing anything, it doesn't feel bad at the time, typically, right? It feels good to just relax, to just kind of let go and kind of take your mind off of life for a little bit, right? And it doesn't feel bad at the time, right? It feels good, right? But as you get more comfortable with that, right, and as you start to do that more often, right, you start to oftentimes lose track of just how much idle time you're having, right, and how much that is cutting into the time that you should be spending working, right? And so while it feels harmless in the moment, right? It can have an exponential impact on your working ability, right? And that's go ahead and go to that Ecclesiastes chapter 10.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 10,
Verse 18.
and verse 18. By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through.
Read.
A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things.
So it says a feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, right? During our feast, we have a great time. We have a merry time, right? That's like my reader was saying, that's when you should have your time to relax, right? That's when you have your designated times. That's the Sabbath, right? It's a day of rest. That's the designated time of rest, right? And we've got feasts all throughout the year. We've got new moons every month. We've got 4 Sabbaths every month. It's not like we don't get designated opportunities to get our rest, right? Those are the days when we're not to be working, right? We have more days off in this truth, according to the Bible, than we had in the world, according to man's rules, right? So yeah, we're supposed to work hard, but we also have designated times for rest, right? It says, feast is made for laughter and wine maketh merry, right? But money answereth all things, right? It costs money, it costs time, it costs resources to put the feast together, right? It costs teamwork. Those are all things those are works, right? And so while you're having a good time, everyone wants to come to the feast and have a good time, right? But there is a lot less people who are that willing or that motivated to help put the feast together, right? Verse 18 says, "By much slothfulness the building decayeth, and through idleness of the hands the house droppeth through," right? What it's saying is, if you're not working to build and maintain, then the structure that you have, the wall that you have to protect you, the land that you have to nourish you, those things are going to start to decay. Those things are going to start to break down. Those things are going to go from assets to liabilities, right? You're not gonna be able to rely on those things anymore, right? And you're going to be exposed. You're going to be in a much worse situation, right? And these are things that happen if we don't have all hands to deck. If we don't have everyone putting in their efforts to ensure that we are progressing the way that we're supposed to be progressing, right? That we're growing the way that we're supposed to be growing. That we're honoring the Most High the way that we're supposed to be honoring the Most High, right? Let's go to Matthew chapter 25 and 26. So yeah, enjoy the feast, but also make sure that you're willing to put in the work as well, to contribute your part to whatever that is or whatever that may look like, to making the feast what it needs to be. And certainly don't wait around for someone to come and tell you. Go inquiry, go find out, go ask, hey. And you can do this at any time, at any point. Hey, what can I do to help? These are the abilities that I have. How can I contribute? Right? It's a group effort. So we all got to put in our works. So we should be running from that, and we shouldn't allow much idleness, like the scriptures say. Right? Go ahead and read that when you got it. 26. 25 and 26.
The book of Matthew, chapter 25 and verse 25.
You can read 25, yeah.
"And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast cast this. There thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury."
So this is Christ's parable for the talents, right? And the 3 men who were given talents by their master, or who were given money by their master, and they were supposed to increase it, right? And so he gets to the last servant and asks him, where's my return? Where's my money, right? And all he had was what he was given, nothing more, nothing less. And his Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, right? Slothful and wicked, they go hand in hand. If you're being slothful, you're being wicked, right? And the servant, the master is basically saying, at the very least, you could have given my money to the people whose jobs it is to increase that money, and I would have had at least at that much of a return, right? But you didn't even have the motivation to do that, right? To do the very bare minimum, right? And that makes you wicked and slothful, right? Go ahead and read. 28.
Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents.
My mom used to tell me, and my sister, because we grew up, well, they grew up singing in the church, and they always tried to get me to sing. My mom used to tell me that, if God will take your talents if you don't use them, right? And, I don't know how much I believed it at the time, but I do know that I definitely, not that I was any great of a singer at the time, but I definitely cannot sing the way that I used to sing. So it's true. The Most High it is possible that he will take your talents. So use them so you don't lose them, right? Read.
For unto every one that hath been given, Salakia, take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10 talents. For unto everyone that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath.
So to them that hath worked, right, that have put in the effort, right, they shall be given their measure and a little bit more, right? But for those that hath not worked, for those that had not put in the bare minimum, or the bare minimum here, right? Then what they have is going to be taken away from them, right? And it's simple, it's easy. You just have to do the work. Don't be lazy, right? Stop thinking about yourself and your comfort, and start thinking about what's best for your people, right? What's best? What is the best way for you to get salvation, right? Is to help the people around you get salvation, right? So put in a little bit of work, because like I was saying earlier, it's a group effort, right? We can't do this as individuals, right? Go ahead and read 30.
And cast ye the unprofitable servants into outer darkness.
Cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, right? Read.
There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
It's going to be hell for them, right? You don't want to be that unprofitable servant, right? Because it's all bad. 2 Thessalonians chapter 3. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Yeah, I don't want that. Hopefully you don't want that either. Hopefully you believe these scriptures. Hopefully if you're reading these scriptures, then you should have the kind of fear for the Most High to always want to do your best to keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Because the way things are moving, we are certainly in the last days, and there's not a lot of time left, right? Go ahead and read when you got that. 3 and 10.
The book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 and verse 10. For even when we are with you, this we commanded you, that if any would not work, neither should he eat.
So if you're not working, then guess what? You're not going to eat. You're not going to partake in nourishment that you didn't earn, that you didn't work for, right? Read.
Not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an example unto you to follow us. Oh, Salaki, I skipped 8. Neither did we eat any man's bread for naught.
11.
Salaki.
You good?
For we hear that there are some which walk among you disorderly, walking not at all,
Working not at all.
but are busybodies.
So there are some. We hear that there are some which walk around you, which walk among you, disorderly, right? Out of order, right? And why are they out of order? Because they're not working. Because they're being selfish, right? They're being lazy. They're being sluggards. They're being sluggish, right? Sluggards. That's not acceptable. They're being busybodies, just again being waste of men, right? Read.
Now them that are such we command and exhort by our Lord Yahweh Shai,
This is stamped by Yahweh Shai. Read.
that with quietness they work and eat their own bread.
So they, however, if whatever their efforts are, that's what they will reap, right? Whatever they sow, whatever work they put in, that's how they will get that nourishment, right? They're on their own, right? You got to fend for yourselves, right? Put in the work so that you're not only contributing to something that's bigger than you, but you're able to build a hedge for yourself, right? Because it's not just your efforts, it's a combined efforts. It's just like insurance, except you get a bigger part. You're a bigger benefactor of the benefits than typical, car or health insurance. Proverbs 15 and verse 19.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 15 and verse 19. The way of the slothful man is as an hedge of thorns, but the way of the righteous is made plain.
So these are two different pathways that you can take, right? And the slothful man, he has to get through this hedge of thorns, right? Because he's slothful, because he's lazy, he's not doing the work that he needs to do to make his life a little more easier down the road. He's not planning and preparing for the future, right? Unlike the ants, unlike animals in nature, and unlike righteous individuals, right? He is not building up, storing up, planning for the winter, right? But he's being lazy and laying around and not doing what he's supposed to be doing, right? And so his path, come that winter, come that trouble, whether it be car repair, house repair, whether it be a health emergency, whatever that looks like, whatever that unforeseen thing is, you're not going to be ready for it. He's not going to be ready for it, right? And his path is going to be painful, right? Because you got to get through that hedge of thorns, right? But if you're moving in righteousness, your path is made clear and plain, and you don't have no issues, right? Proverbs 31 and start at 13. The path for righteousness is always clear, and it always ends up being the most rewarding path, right? 31, Proverbs 31 and 13.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 31 and verse 13. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands.
This is the Proverbs 31 woman, right? This is a righteous woman. This is a model for diligence, right? This is the opposite of a sluggard or a slothful individual, right? And it says she seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands, right? To do anything willingly means you want to do it. You have a desire to do it, right? You don't feel pressured. You don't feel guilt tripped into doing it. You don't feel like, well, I have to do it or this is what I should be doing. No, but you want to do it. You know the difference between the things that you want to do and the things that you got to do or you have to do, right? You know the difference. Um, a, a, a Proverbs 31 woman or a diligent individual, right, willingly wants to work. Right, they are eager to put in their break. They're always asking, "What more can I do?" Right? How can I help? That's that type of individual, right? Read.
She is like the merchant's ships. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and
While
giveth meat.
while it is yet night, right? That means that she's getting just enough sleep, or he's getting just enough sleep, and getting up and getting a jump on the day right before the sun is even up. That's early. That's really early, especially in the summer, right? Read.
And giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens.
And she's providing for the entire household, right? Nourishment. Read.
She considereth the field, and buyeth it. With the fruits of her hand she planteth a vineyard.
She's entrepreneuring, right? She's not just happy being an employee, right, or working for someone else, but she's looking for opportunity, right? This individual has put themselves in a position by the works that they've done to be in a place where now they can take advantage of the different opportunities that are out there, right? Like purchasing a plot of land that you can use for your own nourishment, right? Read.
She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms.
She weight trains, right? She makes sure that she takes care of herself physically. Read.
She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night.
Read.
She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff.
Read.
She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy.
She's also they're also willing and willingly offering help to those that are in need, right? There's always someone in need, different varying degrees of need, different ways of need, right? It could be emotional support, it could be an ear to hear, right? It could be a situation that needs to be judged. It could be some uplifting. There's always a need that you can fulfill, right? And so we want to put ourselves in the mindset to be looking for those opportunities, right? And to be creating those opportunities, right? Those opportunities where you can help another, right? Read.
She is not afraid of the snow for her household. Salakia. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet.
So this individual takes care of what they need to take care of, and they're willing to deal with the elements, whatever that looks like, right? Where it's snow. Snow is not fun to deal with, especially when it's a lot and it's cold and it's wet. It's not fun. But you know, you're not, when you're willing to work, right? When you're not being slothful, you put that idea that in some way, shape, or form, it needs to be enjoyable, or it needs to be unpleasant. It needs to be comfortable. Thank you. You put that aside because you got work to do, right? And it has to get done, right? You have to persevere, right? Read.
She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land.
So it says, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple, right? Taking care of yourself, right? Making sure that you're taking care and taking pride in your appearance, right? Read.
She make
Salakia. uh, she or he, your spouse, is such a righteous individual that the way that they're being judged is in praise, right? Because of your works, you make your spouse looks good, and it works both ways, right? Read.
She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. In a time to come.
Strength and honor are her clothing, right? This is what she puts on, or this individual puts on, to as a representative of themselves, right? Honor, right? Honor is one of the things that they want to, one of the characteristics that they want people to feel from them, right? And strength, that perseverance, right? That ability to hold on to the things that you value, right? And it said that she's going to be rewarded in the time to come, right? This type of individual with these types of characteristics are gonna be rewarded, right? For sure. Read.
She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and her tongue is the law of kindness.
So, when you're not being selfish, when you're not being slothful, right? When you're not being lazy, when you're not being a sluggard, when you're not just thinking of yourself, but you're thinking about others, right? You want what's best for others, right? When you open your mouth, what should be coming out, it should be beneficial to others, right? And that's all that's saying. Read.
She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness.
Nehemiah 4:6, right? Looketh well to the ways of their household, right? So that means that you're taking care of the people that you love. You're taking care of the people that that you care about. You're taking care of the people that you're building with, right? You're looking out for their health and well-being, physically, mentally, emotionally, certainly spiritually, and financially if you can. Right? You're looking out for them. You're motivated to do well by them and do well for them, right? And eateth not the bread of idleness, right? Don't be nourishing on time that isn't beneficial to you or your people, right? Don't be spending too much of your time in idleness, right? Go ahead and read that when you got it.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 4, and verse 6. So built we the wall, and all the wall was joined together unto the half thereof, for the people had a mind to work.
There was a time when our people had a mind to work because we understood that if we want to have we want to have better lives, it's going to take us working together, right? And so, the people with that understanding had a mind to work, right? They were ready to put in that work, put in that effort, right? And you should read Nehemiah and see how he was able to gather the people together and rebuild the city, right? Because it's a great example of that. Go to Romans chapter 12 and start at verse 9.
The book of Romans, chapter 12, and verse 9. Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good.
Cleave to the good and reject the bad, right? Read.
Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love.
Treat each other with love, right? According to the commandments, which is keeping the commandments, right? Read.
In honor, preferring one another. Not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord.
These are all ways to fulfill that brotherly love, right? That love that you're supposed to have for your brother and for yourself, right? It says, be affectionated one to another with brotherly love, right? Treat each other well emotionally, right? Honor preferring one another, right? That means that you prefer, if you have the opportunity to choose, you prefer to be amongst your brethren, right? You prefer to be around the people that you're building up with. You prefer to come to Sabbath class than sit home and watch on YouTube or on Facebook, right? You would prefer to be here every time rather than catch it at home, right? That's what that looks like. Not slothful in business, right? That means you're handling your business, you're taking care of things, you're on top of things, right? You're making sure that you're putting yourself in a situation where you're growing and where you're able to help others because of the fruits of your labor, right? Fervent in spirit, serving the Most High. That means that your spirit is always high. Your spirit is always good, right? It's always lifted and uplifting, right? You're not the Debbie Downer of the group, but you're always positive, right? Always optimistic. That's what that looks like. Let's go to Colossians 3 and verse 23 and 24.
The book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 24, 23. And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men.
Do it heartily, right? Heartily, what that looks like. If you've ever, had a goal, set out to do something, and you really enjoyed the process, you really enjoyed the challenge, and when you completed, you were really proud of your accomplishment, right? You were really proud of the work that you put in, right? Like, yeah, I did that, right? And you really don't care what other people think because of the work that you put into it, and you didn't finish the job until you were proud of the outcome, right? That's how we should be with everything, right? With everything, from the smallest little thing, the chores, the household duties, the life maintenances, to the really big things, right? Like serving the Most High, being a servant to others, right? It should be that same type of heartily, that same type of joy to have to get it done, right? That same type of satisfaction that you have with the work that you put in, you should be feeling that with everything that you do, right? It shouldn't be a situation where you do something and it's just, okay, cool, on to the next thing. No, whatever you do it heartily, right? And you're doing it heartily because it's a praise to the Most High for having the opportunity to put in your work, right? You're doing it for the Most High. You're not doing it for other men, right, or other people, your brothers and sisters, right? Yes, of course, you're doing it for them, but by doing it heartily for the Most High, it's going to have a positive effect on Him, right? Let's go to. I'm sorry. Read 23 and then read 24.
And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men, knowing that of the Lord ye shall receive the reward of the inheritance, for ye serve the Lord Yahweh Shai.
you're going to be rewarded for the works that you put in, right? And we know what that reward, the reward that we're all going for is salvation, right? Everlasting life, right? And so, we should be putting in, we can never put in enough work to atone for our sins of, this lifetime, not to mention, all of the sins from our past lives. Right, we can never put in enough work, so we should never stop working, right? And we should never stop being fervent in that work that we're doing, right? Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10. Chapter 6 and verse 10.
The book of Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10. For God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love.
The Most High is not going to forget the work that you put in, and the labor of love that you put in. Right? Go ahead and read.
Which ye have showed toward his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister.
His work, right? The work that we are to be doing is serving one another, right? Serving our brothers and sisters. That's what that work is, right? Whether it's building ourselves up so that we can meaningfully help others, or meaningfully helping others, right? Wherever we are in that process, the goal is the same, right? To be servants to one another, to build each other up, to build this kingdom, right? To rehearse the righteous acts, right? That's what we're here to do. Read.
And we desire that every one of you do show the same diligence to the full assurance of hope unto the end. Because
we know that if we know that we are promised the kingdom, right? The only thing we don't know is if we personally are going to make it or not, right? And so we should be fervent in doing everything that we can to give ourselves the best opportunity to do so, right? Read.
That ye be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises.
So be not slothful, but followers of them who through faith and patience inherit the promises, right? And we have many, many, many examples in this Bible of them who were faithful and who were patient and who are going to inherit the promise, right? So it's not like you're following a path that's blind, right? It's not like you don't have the instructions. They're right here for us. All we have to do is read, humble ourselves, right, and do the work. James chapter 1 and verse 22. You also want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with those who are faithful and who are patient, right? Those who are righteous, those who are rehearsing the righteous acts, right? Those who are diligent in keeping these commandments. Those are the people that you want to be building with. Those are the people that you want to be surrounding yourself with. Those are the people that you should prefer, right? And so be diligent with the company that you keep as well. All right, go ahead and read that.
James 1 and 22. But be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves.
If you think that the only thing that you have to do is believe in Jesus Christ, and you don't have to put any work, you're lying to yourself, right? You're deceiving yourself, and you are off. You're wrong. You have to do the world. You have to do the word. You have to do the work, right? You have to, right? There's no other way. James, let's go to chapter 2 and verse 17.
James chapter 2 and verse 17. Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone.
There's faith is dead if you're not actually doing the works. If you're not doing the work, then you're not faithful to the Most High. You're faithful to yourself, right? Because it's selfish, and you're ultimately faithful to Satan. Right? Read.
Yea, a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works.
So the way that you display, the way that one displays their faith is by the work that they put in, right? You're when you're faithful to keeping the commandments, you're gonna do what the commandments say, right? And the commandments are all about how you interact with your brothers and sisters, right? How you build up a righteous kingdom, how you judge in righteousness, right? How you help one another, right? How you bear one another's burdens, right? This is what the commandments are about, right? How you honor the Most High and how you remember our forefathers and righteous leaders that we know are going to get the kingdom, right? That's what this is about. Right? Read.
Thou believest that thou believest that there is one God. Thou doest well. The devils also believe and tremble.
Let's go to First Colossians. 1 Corinthians 15 and 58.
1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast, unmovable, always
Read.
always abounding in the work of the Lord.
Be steadfast, be unmovable, right? Always abounding in the work of the Most High, right? So be singularly driven to do the will of the Most High, right? That should be your north star. That should be the goal. That should be evident in all of your works, right? Read.
For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain
Read.
in the Lord.
The Most High is going to reward you based on the labor that you put in. And this is the thing, right? It's not like your stingy boss. It's not like your stingy corporation, right? Job, government, right? It's not like man who wants to reward you with the least amount that they can reward you with, right? The Most High wants to give us everything. Right, he wants to give us everything. There's the only thing that is stopping him from giving us all is us. Right? There's no part of him that doesn't want to reward us handsomely. We just have to do our part. We have to do the work. Right? We have to earn it. It's not a handout. It's not free. It's not open to everyone. Right? It's not free. You can't get it for doing nothing. Right? You have to put in the work. You have to be diligent. You have to do it heartily. Right? Steadfast, unmovable, and always abounding. Read. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. Right? The Most High is going to reward you. Let's go back to Sirach 22 and read that from the top.
The book of Sirach, chapter 22 and verse 1. A slothful man is compared to a filthy stone, and everyone will hiss him out to his disgrace. A slothful man is compared to the filth of a dunghill. Every man that takes it up will shake his hand.
So you don't want to be slothful, right? You want to hopefully take this opportunity to shake off that slothfulness, take this opportunity to commit to being a little bit uncomfortable, to commit to being a little more driven, right? A little more goal-oriented, to making sure that we're using our time wisely. Be committed to making sure that we are that our works make it clear that we're abounding in the will of the Most High, right? And that we're doing everything. Our works, what we should look like is righteousness manifested, right? We should look like righteous examples of our Creator, right? We should be perfect representations of Him, right? When people look at us and they see our works, they see what we're doing, they see our spirit, they see how we're moving, right? We should look different, right? We should feel different, right? We shouldn't be like just someone else out in the world. People should see us and you know, as they know us, should understand that there is a clear difference, right? And that difference is righteousness, right? And it's not really a tangible thing, but when you're moving in righteousness, it's recognizable. So that should be the goal, right? To be recognizably different, holy, set apart, right? Because as Israelites, we represent the Most High. So let's do our part to represent Him in righteousness, right? And with that, I say, Shalom.
If it wasn't for the Most High who was on my side, man, ain't no telling where I'd be. Mr. Wilson would've known. Can't nobody tell me nothing different. The Father's been good to me.
So good to me.
Yeah. Wave your hands if you feel me. I'm a witness. Yahweh's been good to me.
So good to me.
Every morning that I rise, I thank Yahweh that I'm living. Keep my enemies at bay and never leave without my fringes. 1611 with me cause I'm on a mission. Talking sheep, I pay the cost, me and my lines really live it. I don't need no glory, you don't have to know my story. Glad I made it out this world cause this world was never for me. I thought that I was